You are listening to a MetalExpressRadio.com interview. Enjoy.
Okay, Adrian, you've been away from the rock scene for some years now. You left Maiden in, was it 89?
End of 89, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and
it's 90.
We remember the A.S.A.P project.
Yeah.
What have you been doing since?
Well, when I left the band, I kind of, I didn't really know I didn't have a master plan or anything that I was going to do something straight away. I kind of decided, I've been in Maiden for 10 years, I've been in bands for 5 or 6 years before that, and I kind of wanted to have a break from it, you know. But I took a year off, but I set up a little studio at my house and did a lot of writing, and I bumped into a guy called Jamie Stewart, who used to play with the Cult. He was a bass player. He lived near me. We became friends, and we decided to form a band just for fun, and we called the band the Untouchables. And that's what I've been doing. I did that for a couple of years, it was kind of heavy bluesy rock, but it was for fun. I didn't want to get involved in having to do an album and having to go on the road for a year, you know, and all this. So it wasn't until I got started with Psycho Motel that I started to get really excited again about the possibility of being more committed to it, you know. So Psycho Motel is the first serious thing I've done, but I have been involved in other little projects, you know.
What about Skeleton Crew?
Yeah, well, Skeleton Crew was band just before Psycho Motel. I mean, Psycho Motel is Skeleton Crew with Solly, you know, because I was singing before. So Skeleton Crew were doing songs that Psycho Motel were doing now, like the track Psycho Motel and one or two other songs. So that was the forerunner of Psycho Motel, yeah.
Okay. Is this also a project, or is this a lasting thing, Psycho Motel?
No, well, it's not. It's not just a solo album for me. It's you know, I needed to get people together with people. I mean, doing solo things is all right, but you don't get that feedback you have when you have a band, and you almost have too much control. No one says, "Oh, you're doing this wrong and you're doing this wrong." If you're you know, in total control. But with Psycho Motel, everyone. You know, the people are in the band because I respect them as musicians and I respect their opinions, you know. I mean, I happen to do most of the writing, but they're open to criticise my ideas, you know, which sometimes makes the music better, you know. So it's a band, you know. I wanted to have a real band, and I think if you're gonna go on the road and commit to it, you know, for however long it's gonna go. You have to have that kind of band vibe, you know. It's hard to do it all on your own. You need to share the load a bit.
Why is Psycho Motel the name?
Well, we did the track Psycho Motel, which we recorded. Everyone liked the song a lot. It was, you know, everyone loved the song, in the business, the record company and management. And we had a load of crazy names, but that one kind of stuck, you know. The only problem I had was the word psycho, which I thought might have been a bit kind of violent. We're not violent people, and we don't. Some of the songs on the album deal with kind of violence, but it's not totally that kind of blood and guts imagery. I don't want anything to do with that. We use a little bit of the Hitchcock film on the album cover. I mean, you got to if you're called Psycho Motel, you know, but. I'd like to emphasise the psychological aspect of it. That's why we call it state of mind. We don't want it to be taken literally. I think there's more to the songs than just, you know, it's not a gory kind of violent band, you know. So hopefully people won't take it the wrong way.
Right. How did you get in touch with your Norwegian singer Solly?
Solly, yeah, well, a friend of mine passed me a tape of, we were looking for a singer. We looked for the best part of a year, actually. We tried a lot of different singers. Someone passed me a tape of Solly and Sons of Angels. And myself and Gary at the time was the bass player. We were very impressed, and we got in touch with him. And he came over to London, and that was about a year ago. And it's worked out really well. He, you know, like I said before, it's great to have a bunch of guys who are heading in the same direction. And, you know, I think, you know... I can express myself, and he's he fits in great. You know, he puts his own personality into the music.
Right. Both your drummer and Solly have played in 21 Guns.
That's right.
I heard it's just a coincidence that they both came into your band.
It's a funny story actually, because we had a drummer and he kind of quit. So that just left myself and Gary, and I was phoning around all my friends in London saying, you know, are there any good drummers around? We need a good drummer. And a couple of people told me about Mike and said, you know, give Mike a go, he's great. So Solly wasn't in England at the time, so just Gary and myself and Mike played together for a couple of hours. And at the end, Mike said, yeah, you know, I like this, this is cool. He said to me, are you singing or what? I said, well, we've got this singer actually, and his name's Solly. He said, you're kidding? He said, I know Solly, we're friends. So at that point, he definitely wanted to get involved with the band because he'd worked with Solly before. So it was great to have it was like a unit straight away. Not everyone had to get to know each other. So, yeah, that was cool.
What is it like being the only guitar player in the band? You've been used to sharing the stage with David Murray.
Yeah.
Now you're alone.
It's great, you know, I have it all to myself. No, I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, that's part of the reason I did it. To be honest, I mean, I had the Untouchables for a few years, and we just did a lot of clubs. It was heavy bluesy rock. There was another guitarist in the band. I've always worked with two guitars, you know, and you're talking about 20 years I've been playing, you know, so I thought it was about right to maybe have a change. What happened was in the Untouchables, the other guitarist left. I was thinking of replacing him, but so we started playing as a three-piece, and the music kind of changed direction. It got, with just one guitar, it sounded more modern and more heavy and had more edge to it. And it sounded like it didn't need another guitar, you know. You can make things work. I mean, you have to just arrange it in a certain way. But it gives me a lot of freedom, and it's a challenge, and it's a lot of fun, you know.
On your first solo effort, Adrian Smith and Project, you did the vocals.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you quit singing?
I enjoy singing. I think it's easier, especially in a live situation, to have someone out who can bridge the gap between the band and the audience. It's very difficult when you're playing guitar and singing, because you finish singing and you go into a solo, you finish the solo, you come back and you're singing, and you don't get time to catch your breath, and you don't get time to draw the audience into the band. It's a kind of guitar is almost a barrier in that sense, you know. So it just seemed to make sense. I mean, a lot of the successful bands have had a frontman singer. You can't get away from it. And especially when we heard Solly singing, we thought, well, this will be great. This could work out really well. We were excited about it. But you know, I still sing as a bit of backups and that, you know.
What are the greatest differences between Silver and Gold and Stereo Mind?
I think when I did Silver and Gold, I was still in Iron Maiden. I had 3 or 4 songs which I couldn't have used with Iron Maiden. So I wanted to move outside the band and do something totally different, and it turned out radically different. I don't think at the time I was confident enough to do things totally on my own, so I drafted in some friends of mine, like 2 other guitarists, a keyboard player. It was a big band. We're all friends, you know, and it was okay. It took on a life of its own and went its own direction, you know. I didn't really have a vision of how I wanted it to be. It just kind of went along, and I was very, very happy with it at the time. I just wanted to make an album that sounded good and very musical and very produced, as opposed to Iron Maiden, which in some ways was underproduced. But it was a very, very radical thing, and I think it separated me a lot from the band at the time, from Maiden, and maybe the fans thought it was a bit strange, you know, rock fans. But it's just where I was at the time. I think now, having left Maiden for 5 years and been out in the real world, and not having, when you're in a band like that, everything's done for you. People drive you there, people check you into the hotel, people pay your bills, you know. But when I left the band, I kind of had to grow up a bit, and I got more focused as a person, and I think Psycho Motel was a result of that, you know. It's a much more focused, a much stronger direction, and much more definite. and I'm very happy with it. And it's a return to sort of heavier music, which I grew up playing. You know, it's getting that that balance between the heaviness, but still keeping it musical. Yeah, I mustn't lose time. I mean, some bands are real heavy, but they're just all shock and noise, you know, which I like that to an extent, but I like it to be musical, you know. And I think that's what we're trying to achieve, really.
At the gig tonight, I guess you'll play most of the State of Mind album, or maybe all the songs. Have you got any songs finished that are not on the album?
Yeah, actually, there's one song called Demolition, which we recorded a version of for the album, but we weren't happy with it. So we've rearranged that one, and we'll be doing that tonight. And that's that's a real kind of live song that always goes down well, although people don't know it. But it's always difficult going out and playing material that, I mean, the album, I don't even know if it's released here yet. I think it's coming out soon, but it's difficult to put across music that people don't know. But, you know, we just have to stick with it. And I'm sure when the album's been out a while, people will be more familiar with it, hopefully.
I guess a lot of people is curious to know if you're going to do some Maiden songs on your concerts.
I've got mixed feelings about that, really. I suppose if I put myself in an audience point of view, and I went to see a band or someone from a band that I was really into, I'd kind of expect it, you know. But as an artist, you kind of want to move on, you know. We're even rearranging some songs already from the album. You just want to satisfy the creative side of you. So we're trying to find a balance between that at the moment. I think initially we might do one or two. Yeah, we might do one or two Maiden songs.
Okay.
To keep people happy.
Right. You just did a support gig for Maiden in England.
Yeah. What
was it like playing before your old band?
It was fine. I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, they asked me to do it before Christmas. In fact, they were coming to Scandinavia before Christmas, and I was speaking to Steve about something, but he said, "Why don't you do some dates with us?" I said, "Okay, sure." I was speaking on the telephone. They were going to Scandinavia. I thought it would be great to get the album out and then go and tour Scandinavia, because it would have made sense with Solly and everything. But that didn't happen because we couldn't get the album out in time, and we ended up just doing one gig in England, which is a bit weird for me because England's always been a special place for Iron Maiden, you know. It was really the last place I wanted to... I wouldn't have minded doing it outside England, but doing it in England was a bit strange, and I was very worried about it at first. But when we started rehearsing and we started to put a show together, I thought, well, this is going to be great. I mean, I can't see... I'm sure if the fans would all like it, you know. And they did. They were very, very receptive. It was a very warm reception for the band, and it was great. It was worth doing, and I'm glad we did it, you know. And perhaps we'll do some more gigs, who knows. You know, because everything is cool between the bands, really.
Okay. What do you think of Iron Maiden's current stuff?
To be honest, I've only heard one track. I think it was Man on the Edge. They did it on a show in England called Top of the Pops. And they did it, and I think the guy sang it live, and it was good. I thought it was pretty good. I haven't really heard enough of the rest of the album to make a comment on it.
Okay. After these few dates you're doing here in Norway, what are you going to do then? Are you going on a tour as a support band or your own headline tour?
Well, we're looking... It'd be great to hook up with a band. And kind of maybe do some dates in Europe. I think that's what we're looking to do. And come back and do more Scandinavia and, you know, in tour Britain. Definitely more touring plans, because I think people have got to know it's a real band, it's a living, breathing band. It's not like a studio project. You know, all the guys in the band are committed to sort of to touring and doing whatever's necessary, you know. Yeah.
As usual, I guess the album has been released other places before Norway. Have you got any feedback yet?
Yeah, had some feedback from Japan. It's selling quite well there, apparently. It's a bit early to tell you. I mean, the album's only been out about a week. It takes time, you know, things to filter back yet. I don't think Zolly's bought a new Rolls Royce yet, but it's only been out a week. But I think, you know, when I was in Maiden, we used to release an album, and the manager would hire a castle in Germany, and all the press would fly in from all over the world, and it'd be like a big hoo-ha, you know. But now this kind of project's a bit more low key. I think, you know, it's a case of we're going to be living most of the year and touring and promoting it bit by bit, you know, just sort of spreading the word. Because the music scene's a bit more fragmented now. There's lots of different types of music on the scene, you know, and it's you know, it's fragmented, you know.
I guess you saw Scream Magazine gave you a 5-point review. 5
Yeah.
out of 6 points. That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I solely just read it to me. That was fantastic. That's nice to get good reviews. Yeah, lovely.